All right, this is the answers for the review warm-up. It does say that it's a no calculator, this first part, and then I think down here it says calculator. So 2 to the 4th, 2, I'm just going to kind of run through these quick. So that would be 2, 4, 8, 16. 3 to the negative 3rd, that would be 1 over 27, right? Negative exponents flip it. 16 to the negative 1/2, well, that would be the square root of 16, which is 4, but then you're flipping it. So that's 1/4. The log base 8 of 8, you should know without a calculator. And now this is kind of a new one that we just started. But this 3, this is a base of e. So that 3 would go out in front. And so it's the log base e of e. Well, if you look, and that's kind of like this, what's the exponent on e that would give you e? It's 1. So 3 times 1 is 3. So that is how you would do that problem without a calculator, is because it's the log base e of e. Okay, this next one is asking you to expand. So that means you want to use all your properties to get everything by itself. So if it doesn't have a base, that's log 10. So this would be the log base 10 of x minus the log base 10 of y cubed. If you do this on the test, I would have to take off a point, because when you're expanding, they want you to get all those exponents out. So your final answer would be the log base 10 of x minus 3 log y. This is the only correct answer for this question, so take a look at it. Okay, on the next one, I would do these in exponential, because can't you write 1/25, so 5 to the negative x, wouldn't this be 5 to the negative 3? Isn't that the same base? So now my 5s would cancel, and I get a negative x equals a negative 3, so my answer is x equals 3. Okay. On the next part, I would rewrite it with a common base. So this would be 2 to the 5th, and this would be 2 to the 4th. So those would cancel, and you'd get 5x equals 4. So my answer is 4/5. Okay. On the next part, I know, okay, so if I know the log base 5 of 10, I know the log base 5 of 100. That would be double that, which is 2.86. I would know the log base 5 of 4, because that would be times 2, so that would be 0.86. I would know the log base 5 of 8, because that would be times 3, so that would be, come over here, 0.43 times 3, 9, 1.29. I would know the log base 5 of 16. I would know any of those things. Well, this first one is the log base, so wouldn't this be the log base 5 of 2 to the 3rd? So you're basically going to times that by 3, which we just did, so this one is 1.29. Okay, the log base 5 of 1/2 would be the log base 5 of 1 minus the log base 5 of 2. Well, what is the log base 5 of 1? What's the exponent on 5 that gives you 1? It's 0. And this is 0.43, so my answer is a negative 0.43. Okay, and then the log base 5 of 20, well, I would probably do the log base 5 of 10 times 2, because I know both of those. That's the log base 5 of 10 plus the log base 5 of 2. So that would give me an answer 1.43 plus 0.43. So my answer would be 1.86. Okay. The next part is calculator. And I right now am at home and I do not have a calculator that is working. So I'm going to have to go to Desmos. But let's look at this. You have a plus sign. So wouldn't this be the log of x squared plus 3x equals 1? And what is the base on this log, even though they don't write, is a 10. So wouldn't this be x squared plus 3x equals 10 to the 1st? So I would have to move that over, plus 3x minus 10. So that would be x plus 5 and x minus 2. So my answer would be 5, negative 5, and a positive 2. Well, if I put the negative 5 into here, it doesn't work. But if I put 2 in, it works in both. So my only answer that works is 2. I would need to see the algebra on this. Okay, so I would be looking to see, did you have x plus 5 and x minus 2? Okay, all right, so the next one, you have to add the 1 first, because you cannot log, oh, that's a 9. You cannot log until you get it by itself. It's got to be isolated. So now I can do the log base 4 of 9 equals 3x. And then I would divide both sides by 3. And like I said, my calculator is not, what was it, log base 4 of 9. You guys, if I type in the wrong thing, because I'm in a hurry to get this done, you're just going to have to laugh at me behind my back. That's totally fine, but I just want to get this done. So this is the log base, help me out here, log base 4 of 9, and then I'm going to divide by 3. So the log base 4 of 9, I'm going to get that answer, and then I'm going to divide it by 3, and so my answer is 0.5283. So 0.5283. I believe on the test it's going to say round 4 places, 5283. And again, I will be grading your algebra work. Okay, now this next one, remember, you can log base whatever you want. We talked about this earlier in the week. So this is that common log stuff that we went over. I went over with you guys earlier in the week. So if I look at this, I can log base anything. So I'm going to log base 5 both sides, because when I do that, this would be x plus 1 times the log base 5 of 5, which ends up as 1. So this side just becomes x plus 1. Now the other side is a little more complicated, the log base 5 of 6, and then I would times it by 2. So I'm going to do the log base 5 of 6, and then I'm going to times it by 2. The log base 5 of 6, and then I'm going to times that by 2, and I get 2.2266. 2.2266x. So then I'm going to minus 1. No, I'm going to minus x. So that's going to be 1.2266x. And then I'm going to divide. So 1 divided by 1.2266 is 0.8153. 0.8153, 0.8153, 0.8153. Okay. All right, on the next one, you cannot do anything with this until you get the logs together. So this is going to be the log base 4 of x plus 2 over 3. And yeah, you can add that. I don't really care. It's going to be the same thing in the end. Log base 4 of x minus 1. So now that I just have logs, those would cancel. And I get x plus 2 over 3 equals x minus 1. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. So x plus 2 equals 3x minus 3. So I get my x's together and I get my numbers together, and my answer is 5 halves. If I put 5 halves into here, 5 halves plus 2 is positive, so we're good. If I put it into there, it's positive. Okay, why did I not check number 2? Because it's not a log. And look at number 3. Did the original question on number 3 have a log? No, I don't have to check it. The only ones I've had to check so far are 1 and 4. So if I go to number 5, I do not have to check it because my x is in the exponent. So again, you have exponents on both sides, so you can log base whatever you want. I would personally on this one ln both sides. That's what you're going to do in organic chem anyway. Because then this side becomes x minus 2 times the ln of e. Well, the ln of e is 1, so this side just becomes x minus 2. Okay, and on the next part, you're going to bring the negative x out in front times the ln of 3. Hopefully Desmos has an ln button. I have no idea. Will it let me e? Maybe that my phone has it. This one you might just have to go and do it. I don't think my phone has the ln button either. Oh, it does. Yay. So I'm going to go back to here because I have to use my phone since I don't have a calculator. So I'm doing the ln of 3, and I got 1.0986, and that's times a negative x. And so then I would subtract that. So that's a negative 2.0986x. So I would take a negative 2 divided by 2.0986. And my answer is, 4 decimal places, is 0.95301, which is just 0.953. Okay? All right. So on number 6, a copier is purchased for $8,000. The machine loses 18% each year and is replaced after it drops below 3,000. How many years will it be in service? Well, it starts at 8,000 and it's losing 18% over the course of some years. Well, I want to know when it gets to 3,000. So I'm going to take my calculator and I'm just going to use my phone calculator, and hopefully it's doing it right. So I'm going to do 3,000 divided by 8,000. Okay, and so that ended up with 0.375 equals 0.82 to the x. So that's going to be the log base 0.82 of 0.375. I'm going to have to go back to Desmos because this doesn't have ln's and that doesn't have logs. So what was it again? The log base 0.82. Just start over. The log base 0.82 of 0.375 was 4.94 years. So, and I said you could round years, one decimal place. So 4.9, what did I say? 4.94 years. Okay. So you're going to have to replace it after about 5 years. Okay, on the next one, this is basically, we've done one like this on every test we've taken this year. Some kids have kind of caught on. Others of you guys are still struggling. It's going to give you an equation of something you've never seen before, and you're going to have to use it. So in space travel, the change in velocity, v sub s, is in kilometers per second, depends on the mass of the ship. So that's my mass. So my mass of my ship is in tons. The fuel is MF in tons. Okay, so that's my fuel burned. Okay, and the escape velocity. So my escape velocity in VE, right? Disregarding all of their forces. And so, MS is also here. Okay, so it's 2 places. For Jupiter, find the mass of fuel MF. So that means if MF, that MF, it says, find the mass of fuel MF, and it's giving me everything else. So it's giving me V sub X is 6, V sub E is 8. Then you're doing the ln of MS. What was MS? If the ship's mass is 100 tons. So that's 100 over 100 minus, and I'm just going to put F instead of MF. Okay, so if I solve this, wouldn't this be, I would divide both sides by 8, and I get 0.75 equals the ln of this crap. Okay, wait a minute here. Don't I need, I don't need logs because my variable's inside of it. So wouldn't I do e to the 0.75 equals, excuse me, 100 divided by 100 minus f. So I'm going to cross my fingers that my phone calculator has e to the 0.75. It does. No. Okay, e to the 0.75 is 2.117 equals 100 over 100 minus f. So wouldn't I just multiply both sides by 100 minus f? Multiply by 100 minus f. So that if I multiply this by 100, I would get 211.7 minus 2.117 f equals 100. So wouldn't I minus that over? And I would get a negative 2.117 f equals a negative 111.7. And so then I would divide that by 2.117. I hit the wrong button. 111.7 divided by 2.117. And so my answer for the fuel is 52.76. Okay. Now the next one says for X, find the mass of the ship. So that's MS. if I know MF and I know VS and I know VE. So VE is 8. Sorry, VS is 8. VE is 10. ln of, and so now I have an X here and an X here. So it's my MF is 75. Okay, I would divide. So that's going to be, if I divide both sides by 8, I end up with 0.8 equals the ln of this crap. Okay, well, I don't need, so I'm going to do e to the 0.8 because I don't need it. So I'm going to go 0.8, e to the 0.8, and I get 2.2255 equals x over x minus 75. So I'm going to times both sides by x minus 75. So times that by 75. And I get 166.92. I'm doing this all on my phone. So if I've made a mistake somewhere in math, you guys can talk it out with each other. I don't think that I have, but I am using my phone. Okay, so I would minus that, and that's a 1. And so now I do this 166 divided by negative 1.2255. So my answer is 136.2. Okay, now I did that out the long way. These are problems, like story problems. Are you allowed to put them in your calculator and see where they intersect? Totally. I do not care. You are totally allowed to do that. Okay. All right. So on this one, this is an exponential, which means you can put anything into this. So if I was making a table, this thing would have a horizontal, would have a horizontal asymptote right here at a -3. Okay. Because that's the -3 at the back. So I always think about what would make my exponent 0, and that's if I put in a -2, because that would be 1. So 2 minus 3 is a -1. So I'd have a point at a -2, -1. And then if I think of what makes it 1, I would put in a -1. So 1/4 times 2 is 1/2. 1/4 times 2 is 1/2, yes, minus 3. So this would be a -2.5. So I have a point at a -1, -2.5. So it's a decay, so that's leveling off here. Okay, and then I think about what would make it a -1. So that would be a -3. If I put in -3, that would be 4, because it's a -1. So it's 8 minus 3, so that would be 5. So I would have a point at a -3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How did I know it was a decay? Because the number inside of the parentheses was less than 1. Okay, my domain is a -infinity to infinity. My range is a -3 to infinity. This question would be on the no calculator part of your test. Not your calculator part. No calculator. Okay. All right. So then this last one is a log. If you look inside of there, I can't put in 0. So I know my vertical asymptote is going to be at 0. But I always think what makes the inside 1, because what makes that would be a 0 minus 1. So I have a point at 1, -1. I think about what makes the inside, my base is a 4. So I want to make the inside a 4, because that would be 1 minus 1, which is 0. So that's going out like this. And then I want to know what makes the inside 1/4, because that would be a -1 minus 1, which is a -2. So I would have a point at 1/4 -2. So it's going to turn and go down like this. So my domain is 0 to infinity, and my range is a -infinity to infinity. And that is how you would do that question.